This page is the front cover of the April 2000 issue of 64Dream magazine, and it's packed with Nintendo 64 goodness. The main highlight is definitely 2. Furai no Shiren 2, or Shiren the Wanderer 2, which is prominently displayed as an unfathomable dungeon game. It also announces the release date of Shiren 2 with a celebration, release date decided burst. Other featured games include The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, which comes with a special sticker. They also mention Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku Baseball 2000, Super Mario RPG 2, Donkey Kong 64, Resident Evil 2, and Card Hero. There's also a highlighted section for Dory Tech's Hall of Fame and a Kirby mousepad being offered as a service. Finally, it mentions a long interview with Koichi Nakamura. The next page showcases the cover art for the Game Boy Color game Hot-Blooded Ryuki Dungeon Card Battle, Grand Duel, which translates to Grand Duel, Deep Dungeon, Secret Treasure. The artwork features a young anime-style character holding a playing card, facing a large, shadowy monster in the background, along with a cute, pink, blob-like creature. The game is described as a passionate adventure dungeon card battle. It is specifically for the Game Boy Color. This page is an advertisement for the Japanese Nintendo 64 card battle game, Grand Duel. The ad highlights the strategic card battles and dungeon exploration where players collect cards. It mentions there are around 8,000 different types of cards to collect. The game is currently on sale for 4,500 yen, and there's an original goods campaign offering prizes like a Grand Duel card battle basic set. This page advertises a Game Boy software rewrite service, beginning on March 1st of the 12th year of Heisei, 2000. Using a GB memory cartridge, games can be rewritten for a manufacturer's suggested retail price of 2,500 yen. It highlights Super Mario Bros. Deluxe for Game Boy Color, showcasing features like playing as Luigi and Yoshi's Egg Challenge. The game software rewrite service for Game Boy Color is priced at 1,000 yen starting March 1st, with 75 titles available for rewriting, at a price range of 800 to 1,000 yen. It also mentions that Super Mario Land 3 is included in the lineup if you bring a cartridge with more than 4 free blocks. However, the existing Super Mario Land 3 will be erased. This page is the contents page for a Nintendo 64 magazine. It highlights several featured articles, including an interview related to Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer, a special on cheats for games released in the latter half of 1999, and a Hall of Fame section for gameplay techniques. Game-specific articles include previews or features on Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, GameCube Powerful Pro Baseball 2000, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, Super Mario RPG 2, likely Paper Mario, Itoi Shigesato's Bass Fishing, Card Hero, a Game Boy Color title, Nushitsuri 64, Resident Evil 2, and Donkey Kong 64. The page also lists regular magazine sections such as 64DD Communication, SFC and GB Information, Reader Questions, Monthly News, Fan Content, Gameplay Tips, Release Calendars, Game Rankings, Software Catalogs, Entertainment and Fan Clubs, Chat Sections, Beginner's Guides to N64, Tokyo Game Scene Reports, Game Impressions, Forums, Shopping Guides, Akihabara Price Surveys, and Reader Contribution Columns, including a special feature on Kirby 64. Reader engagement sections like gifts and surveys are also mentioned. March's new game releases for N64 and Game Boy are highlighted, with Nintendo maintaining quality despite fewer titles. Key releases include the highly anticipated The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, and the recently released Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. The N64 will also see Top Gear Hyperbike. The calendar lists daily releases, including Super Mario Bros. DX, Versus, Lemmings, and a slew of other Game Boy titles. Later releases include Wario Land 3, GameCube Powerful Pro Yaku 2000, and Kirby 64 for the N64. Finally, the end of the month will bring Battle Fishers, Poppin' Music GB, World Soccer GB 2000 for the Game Boy, and Itoi Shigesato's Bass Fishing No. 1 Definitive Edition, and Alulu no Buken, Mahu no Jewel for the N64. This page shows the Reader's Choice Anticipated New Games Top 20 and the currently selling N64 software Top 10 rankings. For anticipated games, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask tops the list, followed by Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, and Super Mario RPG 2, which may be referring to Paper Mario. Other notable titles in the anticipated games ranking include Mother 3, Mario Party 2, Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2, and Perfect Dark. On the right side, the currently selling ranking is led by Donkey Kong 64, followed by Mario Party 2, and Virtual Pro Wrestling 2, a title that was not released outside of Japan. Other games in the top 10 selling list include Super Smash Bros., Bomberman 2, Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2, and Pokémon Stadium 2. This page is showcasing 2 reader surveys from 64Dream magazine, both related to the New Year period in 2000. The first survey is about New Year's money, Otoshidama. It reveals that the average amount of New Year's money received by readers was slightly down compared to the previous year, averaging 31,812 yen. The survey also asked what people spent their New Year's money on, and the top answer was, nothing in particular, implying saving or general expenses, followed by N64 game software in second place. The second survey is a ranking of the top 20 most anticipated N64 games. Donkey Kong 64, Mario Party 2, and Bomberman 64 are at the top of the list as the most eagerly awaited titles at the time. Other games mentioned in the top ranks include Custom Robo, GoldenEye 007, Star Twins, Star Fox 64, and Mario Golf 64. The page mentions that these rankings are based on reader votes and highlights the anticipation for major titles like The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Donkey Kong 64. Finally, the page details a reader prize giveaway with various N64 and Game Boy Color related prizes. The top prize is a special Pokemon Gold and Silver commemorative version of the Game Boy Color. Other prizes include N64 consoles in clear blue, clear orange/black, and clear red colors, N64 software such as Bomberman 2 and Densha to Go 64, and accessories like a pocket printer and Hollypad Mini 64 controller. The next page is a game preview for Fushigi no Dungeon, Furai no Shiren 2 Oni Shurai, Siren Ju for the Nintendo 64. This dungeon crawler RPG, part of the Mystery Dungeon series and the sequel to the original Shiren the Wanderer, is touted as having many new elements and being set in a demon castle. The page highlights this new installment in the popular series and mentions it is packed with new features. The game is set to be released in spring 2000. It's a single-player game developed by Chunsoft and published by Nintendo. This page is about the Nintendo 64 game Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2, Oni Invasion, Shiren Castle. The game is highlighted as a 1000-play RPG, with dungeons that change every time you play. It mentions new systems, 3D graphics, and new monsters. The text describes the challenging yet fun gameplay, noting that monsters and traps can be annoying but still enjoyable. Screenshots show in-game action and the user interface. The story summary explains how Shiren and Koppa arrive at a village, and after eating Ukodon, they encounter a demon clan, starting their new adventure. The game promises many characters to meet, including companions to rescue. Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2 presents players with a constantly changing dungeon experience. Each entry resets the player to level 1 and features randomly generated terrain and item placement, emphasizing the importance of resourcefulness. Survival hinges on mastering the dungeon's challenges, which include utilizing tools like weapons and armor, while deciphering the purpose of less obvious items. Players must also navigate treacherous traps that range from familiar pressure plate activations to new types like spinning boards and sleep gas. The dungeons are populated with a variety of monsters, old and new, each employing unique attacks. The Nintendo 64's capabilities are showcased in the detailed monster animations. Shiren the Wanderer 2, Oni Invasion, Shiren Castle. For the N64 centers around castle construction, a key objective. The game designer, Tomy, explains that players gather materials like wood and stone, found in dungeons, to build their castle. Strategic item management is crucial, as players must balance their inventory with building materials and other essential items. This installment evolves the series' core gameplay, moving beyond simple item retrieval to emphasize resource gathering and construction. Screenshots showcase the series' evolution, highlighting titles such as Torneco's Great Adventure, Mysterious Dungeon 2, Shiren the Wanderer, the Game Boy Color version, and the Windows remake. The Silent Moon game features the Land of Adventure, a mountainous region centered around Natane Village. This area includes diverse locations like the scenic Sesaraji Valley, the treacherous Naraku mountain path, and the snow-covered white-silver peak near Mount Shuten. Ancient capital ruins offer a glimpse into the past. Natane Village, the central hub, provides an udon shop/inn and a shrine, but faces Oni demon attacks. The village street suggests interactions with helpful characters, while the craftsman's house hints at secrets. Overall, the region offers a blend of beautiful landscapes and dangerous challenges, promising an exciting adventure for the player. This page is about Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer on the N64. The article highlights that, although the game is now in 3D, the fundamental dungeon gameplay system remains the same as previous Shiren titles. An interview with Nakamura Mitsuhiko from Chunsoft confirms this, explaining that while the visuals are in 3D, the underlying system is similar to the Super Famicom and Game Boy versions. He mentions the camera is fixed to prevent player disorientation and keep the gameplay focused. The screenshots demonstrate the 3D dungeon environments. The article also discusses the development progress, stating it's around 90% complete and aiming for a spring release. The characters Shiren, a young adventurer, and his companion Kopa, a talking weasel, are introduced. The interview touches on the remaining work, including bug fixing, and the team's enjoyment in bringing the 3D visuals and event scenes to life, which were limited in previous 2D iterations. The next page is dedicated to Jikyu Powerful Pro Yakyu 2000 for the N64, highlighting it as the latest installment in the Power Pro series. The page emphasizes the power-up aspects of the game. Screenshots showcase in-game action, including pitching and batting views, and various menu screens showing game modes. The page details different gameplay modes: Taisen for versus play against the computer or friends, Pennant mode, which appears to be a season mode based on real pro baseball, Success mode for player development, and League mode for league play with customizable settings. Other modes mentioned are Arrange for team customization, Scenario mode with situations from the 1999 season, Data and Miscellaneous for data management with the Game Boy, Power Pro Kun Pocket 2, Home Run Derby, Camp for practice and team building, and Sound to adjust sound settings. The page mentions that 64 megabytes pack is supported, and links with the Game Boy Pocket 2 version. This page introduces the power-up of the Arrange mode in a baseball game, likely from the Power Pro series. It details various customization options available. You can arrange your team by selecting your favorite players for both fielders and pitchers. You can also configure the batting order, including designated hitter options, and even lock the batting order. Furthermore, you can set team policies for when the CPU controls your arranged team. The page then dives into Usage Arrange, allowing detailed settings for player roles. For pitchers, you can define roles like starter or reliever, and set conditions for substitutions based on stamina, pitch count, game situation, and desired outcomes like securing a win or a save. Similarly, you can customize fielder and batter roles to create realistic pro baseball scenarios. Finally, Number Arrange lets you change player jersey numbers within your team. The team policy section at the bottom right lets you fine-tune CPU team strategies, adjusting parameters like bunt frequency, sacrifice bunt usage, run and hit tactics, steal attempts, and squeeze play frequency, allowing for deeper strategic customization. This page showcases a preview for a baseball game, very likely a Power Pros title for the N64. The main headline emphasizes, "Success is now in the Adult League Edition," indicating a new iteration or mode focused on adult baseball leagues. The article details improvements to the Success mode, explaining how player abilities have been enhanced. Screenshots illustrate gameplay, menus, and player profile screens. The text also mentions refinements in game balance to make it more enjoyable. It highlights the depth in player data and the power-up to the Pennant mode. The preview seems very positive, focusing on the enhanced gameplay experience and new features in this version of the baseball game. This page is a preview for Power Pro Kun Pocket 2 on the Game Boy, focusing on the new Reincarnation mode. The page highlights the story in this mode, where the player is scouted by a professional baseball team called Drill Mogurazu, but the parent company, Toy Corporation, is struggling financially. The player must navigate this situation as a professional baseball player. The Reincarnation mode allows players to send and receive player data with friends, letting them reuse trained players. Player abilities are reset to initial values in this mode. The page also discusses how to power up in the game, suggesting items and girlfriends are important for increasing player stats. Screenshots show in-game scenes, including character dialogues, gameplay with runners on base, and locations like a restaurant and shrine. The text also hints at challenging scenarios and needing to win against tough opponents. It mentions building relationships with girlfriends as a key element for success. This page is a preview for Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. It announces the release date as March 24th, with a price of 6,800 yen. The genre is action, supporting 1 player or 14 players in minigames, and it mentions vibration pack compatibility. The page focuses on the new copy ability mix system, explaining that by mixing 2 copy abilities, Kirby can create new powers. It details several mixed abilities, with descriptions and screenshots, including burning, combining fire with fire to create a more powerful fire attack, described as fire arrow, ice stone, combining ice and stone to create ice stone, described as freezing enemies solid, burning bomb, combining fire and bomb abilities to create burning bomb or fireworks, beautiful to look at, especially in dark stages, burning stone, combining burning and stone to create burning stone, which allows Kirby to launch volcano bombs from his head. This page introduces a new ability in Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, called Lift Up. It explains that Kirby can swallow enemies and lift them above his head, depending on the enemy swallowed. This Lift Up ability can be used for different actions, such as gliding through the air or attacking enemies. The page shows examples with screenshots, featuring the Frontbird enemy for gliding, the Grang enemy for shooting projectiles, and the Gyappa enemy for swimming swiftly in water. It also confirms that Wispy Woods is the boss of level 1, just like in the SFC version, and mentions that demo scenes will play after defeating Wispy Woods. The next page is all about Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. It introduces Waddle Dee and King Day as characters who will appear and help Kirby on his adventure. The page focuses on Waddle Dee's role specifically. First, it talks about Waddle Dee's debut, explaining that Waddle Dees are usually enemies. But in this game, Waddle Dee will be captured by an enemy after collecting crystal shards. It asks how Kirby can rescue Waddle Dee. Next, Captured Waddle Dee in the battle section shows screenshots of Kirby encountering a possessed Waddle Dee. It suggests Waddle Dee might attack Kirby. It shows how Kirby defeats the possessed Waddle Dee, and then Waddle Dee's body recovers. And Waddle Dee becomes an ally. Section describes how Waddle Dee becomes Kirby's ally. It shows Waddle Dee pushing a box for Kirby and riding a gondola together, highlighting how Waddle Dee will assist Kirby in his journey. Finally, King Deday's debut section reveals that King Day, Kirby's rival, is also appearing. It explains that King Day also seems to have been possessed by an enemy after finding crystals. The page ends by asking if there will be a battle with King Day, implying that King Day will also be an enemy, due to being possessed in a similar way to Waddle Dee. The next page is about Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. It introduces the character Adeline, noting that her real name is actually Adorenu. The page details her initial appearance as an enemy possessed by a dark force, showing screenshots of Kirby battling against her paintings that come to life, like enemies and Ice Dragon. It then explains how Adeline becomes an ally, joining Kirby in his quest to collect crystal shards. The page then shifts focus to King Dedede, depicting a similar scenario where he is also possessed. It describes his attacks during the boss fight, like his inhaling attack, and how defeating the possessed Day results in him also becoming an ally. The final screenshot shows King Degay carrying Kirby on his back and using his hammer to break through walls, highlighting his role as a helpful partner. The next page is about Level 2, Hirobi Star from Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. It looks like this stage has a desert theme. The first section describes Hirobi Star as a desolate, sandy world. It advises players to be careful as they move through the sand, as they might get swallowed up. The next part shows screenshots of enemies in the level, suggesting there are many enemies around. It mentions that you need to carefully navigate through them. Then it highlights a part where the ground might crumble beneath your feet, warning players to be cautious of falling. Another section talks about large enemies appearing from the sand, emphasizing being careful of enemy attacks. Finally, it shows a giant pyramid floating in the air, and questions what it could be. It also shows an underground area within the pyramid, describing it as the start of an adventure underground, where enemies fill the pyramid. It advises caution as it is dangerous. This page focuses on Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards. It highlights the game's stages, showcasing a boss battle against Pix in a tower setting, advising players to observe enemy movements and jump to dodge attacks. The page also touches upon gameplay elements, like Kirby eating to gain abilities, mentioning Adeline offering cake and apples. The main feature seems to be the multiplayer minigames, boasting 10 minigames for up to 4 players. It introduces 3 main types of minigames, emphasizing the fun of playing with favorite characters. One minigame is shown where players select from Kirby, Adeline, King Day, and Waddle Dee, and use the D-pad and A button for controls in games like Butterfly Fight and Floor Drop. Another described minigame involves dropping floor tiles with shockwaves using the A button, where the goal is to be the last one standing. As players are eliminated, the playing field shrinks in another minigame. The page concludes by calling these minigames exciting and engaging. This page is dedicated to The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask on the Nintendo 64. It highlights the game's release date as April 27th, with a price of 5,800 yen for the cartridge alone, and 7,800 yen including the memory expansion pack. The game is described as a 3D action RPG for 1 player, requiring the memory expansion pack, and supporting rumble features. The page focuses on a gameplay element called Kajiye, which seems to be a blacksmith's or a forge. It explains how players can get a Goron knife and upgrade it at the Kajiya for 80 rupees to get a Kitate sword, or forged sword. However, it takes a full day in the game for the upgrade to be completed, causing some anxiety about being without a sword for a whole day. The screenshots compare the Kitate sword with the normal sword. The text notes that, although the length of the swords is similar, the Kitate sword has a different design compared to the Kokiri sword, or Master Sword, and looks more powerful. It also shows Link using both swords against enemies like White Wolfos and Dodongos, demonstrating the enhanced cutting ability and damage of the upgraded Kitate sword. The text emphasizes the importance of swordplay in the game, and how this new sword enhances combat. This article explores The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask, focusing on story anticipation and key characters. It highlights arcs centered on the Goron and Zora tribes, and a battle with Skull Kid. Specific sections examine a gloomy Goron, a ghostly spirit experience Link, and a crying Goron child. The Zora storyline is central, featuring a collapsing Zora youth imparting a message to Link, with the shrinking tail fin and arm fins raising questions. Link is headed to the Sea Temple, and the youth seems connected to it. Another character introduced is a fairy-like spirit in a cave, potentially aiding in heart recovery. The article concludes by discussing the Sea Temple, the Zora youth's Bone Negi guitar, and the use of the Zora mask, speculating on strong enemies, the Zora child, and the Geld tribe's involvement. Screenshots depict gameplay with Gorons, Zoras, fairies, and in-game interface elements. This page dives into the Deku Tree Kingdom from The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time. It highlights an area with a mysterious old man in an observatory, wondering if he is an astronomer. The article discusses using a telescope there, speculating it might be a new item for the game, allowing you to zoom in and observe the town. The page also focuses on the Deku Nut tribe, showcasing character art of the Deku King, Princess, and an advisor. It humorously remarks on the Deku King's large head and the beauty of the princess, even comparing her favorably to Ruto. There's also mention of the Deku Nut dialect seemingly missing in screenshots, questioning if they now speak standard language. The page notes the princess has gone missing, causing the king to lose his composure. Screenshots throughout show gameplay within the Deku Tree Kingdom, including interactions with characters and combat with spider enemies. This page is focused on The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time, highlighting music CDs and minigames. There is a section titled Miyamoto-san Lyricist Debut Commemoration. Check out Ocarina of Time music CDs, which advertises 2 music releases: The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time Rearrange Album by Takuma Japan Communications, and The Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time Original Soundtrack by Pony Canyon. It praises the rearranged album as having a digital sound, and highlights tracks like Title and Battle. The original soundtrack is described as containing 82 songs, nearly in game order, and features short jingles. There is also a section on Decanut's Kingdom minigames from Ocarina of Time, describing a game where Link floats in the air and collects rupees, reminiscent of a past Space World demo. It mentions landing on flower platforms, which act like landing pads, floating by using flowers as a gyu, sapan, onomatopoeia, feeling, and gliding in the sky. Screenshots show gameplay with Link flying and collecting items. Finally, a new enemy character appearing from the sky is introduced. This new enemy, is described as a strong foe with a giant, ominous appearance that attacks from the air. The text advises players to watch out for its long tail. Screenshots depict this enemy attacking Link in what seems to be a battle arena environment. This page is a preview for Super Mario RPG 2, which was known internationally as Paper Mario. The page highlights it as a new game in the Mario RPG series. It mentions that in this game, when you encounter an enemy on the field, you immediately enter battle mode, emphasizing action-oriented gameplay. The page shows screenshots depicting battle scenes where guarding enemy attacks is possible using button presses, and a command selection screen with jump as an option. It also highlights exploration elements in areas like Hill of Falling Stars, with a romantic feel, and a volcanic cavern with a mysterious atmosphere. The final screenshot shows Mario meeting Nokonoko explorers in a desert, who are described as knowledgeable in archaeology, and also mentions a chocobo-like creature appearing with Goombas behind. Itoi Shigesato no Bastsuri. Number 1 Kataiban is a Nintendo 64-base fishing game released on March 31st for 6,800 yen. This single-player fishing game supports Rumble and the fishing controller. Players can explore 2 locations, Lake Noi and Lake Kakasumi, fishing from both shore and boat. Lake Kakasumi. The game features 4 characters: Tazuki-kun, unconfident; Neko-kun, cheerful; Kitsune-kun, competitive; Usagi-chan, supportive; and Kuma-san, average skills. Screenshots highlight gameplay, fish menus, and data on caught fish like catfish and bass, including their weight and length. The game allows catching bluegill and tracks best catches and total fish weight. This page showcases Pokemon Gold and Silver for the Game Boy and asks if you have managed to catch all the Pokemon and fill your boxes. It introduces new Pokemon, highlighting Unknown, which is described as a mysterious Pokemon with 26 different forms resembling the alphabet. The page also features a game info box for Pokemon Gold and Silver, listing the title, developer as Nintendo, that it's currently on sale for 3,800 yen. The genre is RPG. It is for 1 player and supports communication cables and has a built-in clock function. 11 new Pokemon are briefly introduced with images and short descriptions including Wobbuffet, Tyrogue, Smoochum, Corsola, Remoraid, Delibird, Fansepi, Magby, Larvitar, and Sneasel. This page introduces The Legend of Zelda, Oracle of Seasons. It highlights new gameplay elements focusing on useful items and companions in Link's adventure. The page details 2 key items: the Seeds of Fire, which can be combined with the slingshot to attack enemies and light torches, and the Seeds of Scent, described as having a strong smell and being useful as both a weapon and for other purposes. 2 companions are showcased: Wee-Wee, a Dodongo child who helps Link traverse water, and Mushu, a winged bear that Link can ride, enabling attacks while mounted and jumping abilities. Game information states it's an action RPG for Game Boy Color, priced at 3,800 yen for 1 player, and scheduled for release in the year 2000. This page introduces Card Hero, a trading card game for the Game Boy. The game is designed to be easy to understand while still offering deep battles. Hero. It features a story where the protagonist Hiroshi and his friends become engrossed in the card game, inspired by the popular TV anime Card Hero and the skilled card player Masaru. The page highlights the game's point explanation and strategy guide section, showcasing various characters like Grandpa, who just returned from America, Maruhige, store owner, the friendly shopkeeper, Kura-san, who provides member services, and Takumi-san, a self-proclaimed Card Hero researcher who offers advice. The screenshots illustrate gameplay and character interactions within the world of Card Hero. This trading card game, potentially linked to Monster Rancher, introduces the basics of card battles and monster leveling. Players aim to reduce the opponent's master's HP to 0. Battles involve using 3 stones per turn to power monster attacks and level-ups. Monsters can level up during battle, recovering HP, increasing max HP, and boosting attack power. Leveling up costs 1 stone. The game features frontline monsters with high HP and attack, suitable for melee, and rearline monsters with ranged attacks. Strategic positioning is key, with rearline monsters ideally behind frontlines. The core strategy involves leveling up frontline monsters first, then rearline monsters. Careful consideration of which monsters to level and when is critical for winning. The guide suggests players examine their moves before acting, especially when managing monsters capable of multiple level-ups. Chapter 2 of the guide introduces the Kura Kura Club, a card battle feature. Players build 15 card decks and battle each other. Beginners are welcome. The Maruhigeya shop sells 3-card booster packs and individual cards, with the selection changing daily. Players can use coins to purchase items. Magic cards are a key element, boosting monster attack or reducing damage. Players are encouraged to include 3 to 5 magic cards in their decks, using stone items to activate them. To join the Kura Kura Club, players need a 15-card deck. Winning battles earns medals, redeemable at Maruhigeya. Players should study battle strategies and card instructions for optimal performance. The next page delves into strategies and rule explanations for what seems to be a card battling game, possibly related to the Japanly Game Boy Color title Card Hero, although it's presented in an N64 context here. The page discusses deck adjustments, recommending a 15-card deck with a mix of magic and monster cards. It explains the starting hand of 5 cards and redraw rules to ensure you have frontline monsters. New battle rules are outlined, shifting to a best-of-3 match format where 2 wins secure victory, with medal rewards for game wins and emphasizing deck strength over luck. Battle strategies include leveling up monsters quickly by defeating higher-level opponents and utilizing powerful magic cards like Thunder and Power Up for direct damage. Finally, it mentions a Card Hero PC for practicing against the computer to refine your deck strategy and identify weaknesses. The next page is about a tournament challenge in a monster battling game. It describes a tournament held by the Kurama Club members, and the prize for the winner is a great card. The page details strategies for 3 tournament matches. Round 1 is against Ami, who uses Water and Rouge type monsters. It is advised to attack the heart attack position. The semi-final is against Sugiyama, who uses a Thunder deck. His master card can deal 1 damage. Leveling up front monsters is recommended. The final is against Komai, the previous champion. He uses Polygon-type monsters that can act twice per turn. While Polygon has low HP, it's important to defeat it quickly due to its strong initial attack. Winning the tournament rewards you with 1 card from 4 monster types. Jarls is recommended as a strong option. The page mentions that after the tournament, a special program called Card Hero will be broadcast, featuring Mazal in a desperate pinch who uses level change and the supercard Bomnosuke to make a comeback. This guide focuses on mastering supercards in the Japan-exclusive N64 game Card Hero. It centers on leveraging the powerful Bomnosuke supercard, which deals significant damage. The card's use hinges on evolving the monster Bombzu to level 3. Strategic leveling and timing are critical. The guide also details a welcome battle against Kumi-chan, offering 10 medals for victory using supercards. This battle serves as a practice ground for employing these cards against a strong opponent. Finally, the guide announces the Magical World Booster Pack, introducing magic cards, mysterious abilities, and expanding deck size to 20 cards, promising new strategic dimensions. This page is about the upcoming Nintendo 64 mahjong game Ide Yosuke no Mahjong Juku. It highlights that the game will also be released as a ROM cartridge, making it accessible to more players beyond the 64DD. The game features 2 main modes, Family Mode and Professional Fighting Mode. Family Mode seems to be aimed at beginners and casual players, offering advice and hints during gameplay, even suggesting safe tiles to discard and appropriate tile drawing strategies. It's described as being suitable for a wide range of players, from beginners to experienced players. Professional Fighting Mode focuses on recreating professional mahjong matches from the 1997 Pro-Am Mixed Battle Japanese Mahjong series. It allows players to participate in these matches and even take the place of professional players. The page mentions that commentaries by professional mahjong players are included, which will help players improve their skills. The 64DD version is mentioned as having a Gatekeeper mode, which simplifies the rules for beginners. The ROM cartridge version seems to focus on more traditional and competitive mahjong gameplay, with these 2 distinct modes. The release date for the ROM cartridge version is set for April 21st. The price is listed as 5,800 yen estimated. This page is about the Nintendo 64 game Nushitsuri 64 Going Fishing Bass Mania, which is subtitled Riding the Breeze No More Narrow Japan. This time it's Southern Country Fishing Paradise. It highlights that this new game is not like Harvest Moon, but a proper fishing game. The page details how the graphics and characters have been scaled up and improved, with more expressive characters and smoother animations, thanks to the 3D stick controls. The game features a wider world stage, moving beyond Japan to locations like Hawaii and Okinawa, with the goal of becoming a world fishing master. It also introduces a kakuchek mode, described as a competitive fishing battle mode. The game is compatible with the Suricon 64 fishing controller, which is sold separately by ASC2, to enhance the fishing experience and immersion. Finally, the page introduces some of the characters in the game, including the father, Kenji, mother, Yumiko, brother, Sekiro, sister, Ayumi, and the dog, showcasing a family involved in the fishing gameplay. Each character has a short description about their personality. This page is a strategy guide for Biohazard 2 on Nintendo 64, known as Resident Evil 2 in English. It focuses on gameplay tips and scenario selection for players who are aiming to reach the research facility. The guide highlights that there are two main characters and different routes to take within the game. The page details hidden elements in Biohazard 2, stating that by fulfilling certain conditions when clearing the game, additional playable scenarios become available. It mentions the Fourth Survivor, where you play as Hunk, and Tofu Survivor, where the main character is Tofu, describing it as a joke scenario. The recommended play section suggests the order to play the scenarios. First, Leon A, front emote scenario, then Claire A, followed by Leon B, back Yura scenario. It recommends starting with Leon's A scenario, as he has more physical strength. The page also provides scenario descriptions, detailing the front scenario, starting in the city with zombies and leading to the police station. In the back scenario, which is the reverse side, the starting point in the city is different, and the path to the police station is shorter, requiring a small house key to proceed from the police station's parking lot. This page is a strategy guide for Biohazard 2, specifically focusing on the Raccoon Police Station part of the game. It details the differences between playing as Claire and Leon, noting that while their escape routes and the items they need differ, the locations they visit are mostly the same. The guide covers key items and puzzles within the police station. It explains how to get the blue card key from Marvin, which is essential for progressing through locked doors. It also describes how to find the Virgin Heart jewels, mentioning one is obtained by using fire in a conference room fireplace, and another is found near a stone statue. The guide details acquiring the unicorn medal from Chris's STARS office by examining his desk and diary, and then using it at the fountain to get another key. A library puzzle involving bookshelves is also covered, where players need to move the shelves in the correct order to proceed and get plugs. The page further explains how to extinguish the burning helicopter using a valve handle found in a storage room, which then allows access to the art room to get more keys. Finally, it briefly mentions the interrogation room on the first floor, which has a magic mirror and is a place to find important items. The guide points out that Leon starts with a lighter, while Claire needs to find one. This walkthrough details scenarios for both Claire and Leon in Resident Evil 2. Claire's scenario involves using the diamond key to get explosives to open the director's office, meeting Sherry, and obtaining the heart key. Leon's path focuses on the manhole opener, found after meeting Ada in the parking garage, to access the purification plant. Both characters then share a section to obtain the crank's key. Leon's section includes navigating the press room and clock tower, solving a puzzle for the gold cog, and fighting the G juvenile form. Claire faces the G first form after activating the elevator in the director's office. The walkthrough then touches upon the rear scenario, which becomes available after completing the game with the other character. The rear scenario offers different item placements, the appearance of Tyrant, and a more challenging experience with a focus on Umbrella's goal to retrieve the G-Virus. This Japanese gaming magazine page covers Capcom's Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2, on the Nintendo 64, specifically detailing the sewer and factory areas. Claire and Leon's paths diverge in the sewers, with distinct encounters. Claire, Sherry, Leon, Ada. Both need the Wolf and Eagle medals to escape. The Eagle medal is found on the manager, the Wolf medal on Sherry, Claire, or an Umbrella soldier, Leon. The page details the alligator boss fight, recommending gas tanks. In the factory, medals activate an electric locomotive platform. Players find the down key to start the train, and then fight the G-Form 2 boss. Ammo conservation and gas tank usage are advised. The back scenario features Sherry's reduced roll and altered metal locations. The alligator fight remains. The Factory's Back scenario uses the UP key and features the Tyrant and G-Form 3 as final bosses. This page is about the Nintendo 64 game Donkey Kong 64, detailing gameplay tips and level introductions. It highlights the Zonzo Castle stage, described as a gloomy ancient castle, and mentions needing to get the sniper from Funky Kong to progress. The page outlines using barrel cannons to enter the castle area. Gameplay advice is provided for entering a withered tree, which involves using the sniper obtained from Funky, utilizing a bazooka barrel course, hitting targets, and using Chunky Kong to break walls within the tree. Another section covers a maze located in a vinyl house, requiring the use of Kong switches and navigating within a time limit to obtain a golden banana, which then reveals a Kong pad. Finally, it describes a bat extermination challenge, where players need to punch boxes, use Kong pads, and transform into Gorilla Goon to combat bats within a room to get a golden banana. The game is noted as an action genre supporting 1 to 4 players, and it is Memory Expansion Pack compatible and Rumble Pack compatible. A Japanese release price is listed as 7,800 yen. This page is about Donkey Kong 64, providing gameplay tips and strategies. It describes how to find golden bananas in the underground cemetery, explaining that each Kong character can access one of the 5 golden bananas hidden there by hitting weapon switches. The Ballroom Labyrinth section details how to use Kong switches, Ultra Kong slams, and barrel jets to solve puzzles and light candles to get a golden banana and access a minigame. The Aim 4 Castletop segment explains how to use Kong barrels to reach the top of the castle, find a golden banana barrel, and play a fly swatter minigame. Finally, the King K. Rool cutout section is about the boss fight against King K. Rool, describing how to use barrels to attack the cutout that appears in different locations, and how to identify the real one among decoys to defeat him after 9 hits. This page focuses on the last stage, Artificial Island, in Donkey Kong 64. It mentions that the final battle with King K. Rool is approaching, and emphasizes the need for cooperation from all the Kongs. The page provides gameplay tips for each Kong character on this stage. For Donkey Kong, it's about the Blastomatic room. The guide mentions using sound pads and breaking golden nets in the room, starting a minigame involving iron barrels, and playing 2 types of minigames for each Kong, including Donkey's barrel cannon game and using Rambi to defeat critters. For Chunky Kong, it details using the pineapple launcher to defeat critters in a game. It advises using the pineapple launcher to snipe critters, noting that critters are hiding in boxes. For Tiny Kong, the strategy involves using the circular parachute, staying off the ground, crossing DK stars, and using jumping mushrooms in the air. It mentions using the DK star in the air and playing 2 types of minigames, highlighting jumping technique when using the mushrooms. For Diddy Kong, it's about using the barrel jet. The tips include floating in the air with the barrel jet, using weapons to attack, and eliminating all Kremlings within the time limit in 2 types of barrel jet games, suggesting the use of hovering with the barrel jet. This page is all about boss battles in Donkey Kong 64. It details how to get crowns, N64 coins, and rare coins which are required to progress in the game after clearing all the minigames. The main focus is on King K. Rool, the final boss, and strategies for defeating him using each of the Kongs. For Donkey Kong's fight, the strategy involves punching King K. Rool at the right moment after he taunts. Diddy Kong's fight strategy is to use Kong barrels to fly to spotlights in the ring's ceiling and hit them with coconuts to make the lights fall on King K. Rool. Tiny Kong's strategy requires her to dodge King K. Rool's shockwave attacks and then become Micro Kong to enter holes in King K. Rool's boots and attack his toes. For Chunky Kong, you need to grab Kong barrels in the center of the ring and become Gorilla Gone to deliver powerful punches to King K. Rool in a one-on-one fight. Finally, Lanky Kong's strategy involves using instruments found ringside to play music and then use banana peels to make King K. Rool slip. It mentions this is a classic gag strategy. The next page is an announcement from the Computer Entertainment Software Association, CESA, addressing users about the issue of used game software. Following a court ruling, there were concerns that used game sales might be banned, but CESA clarifies they are not against used games in principle. Their concern is with unauthorized used software sales, as this reduces revenue for game developers, which is essential for funding new game creation. They aim to establish a new system for used game sales that benefits users, retailers, and software makers alike, ensuring a sustainable market for both new and used games, and they ask for understanding and cooperation in resolving this issue. This page showcases a special sticker sheet, Volume 43, featuring The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, and Doshin the Giant stickers. The top section is dedicated to The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask, with various character stickers and logo designs. Below, the page features Doshin the Giant stickers in a playing card style, showing in-game scenes and character art from the game, which was initially released only in Japan for the 64DD. This page is a plain yellow page with faint grid lines and some smudges or marks along the right edge, but no discernible content related to N64 games, text, characters, or screenshots are visible. This magazine page features reader submissions in a From Letters section. Illust corner showcases reader-submitted artwork, including drawings of characters from various games like Mario, Harvest Moon, and Resident Evil, as well as original characters. Game Boy Advance's Path discusses the console's Japanese naming and suggests the abbreviation GBA. Other letters address concerns about children's language in online gaming and express excitement about future online play for games like Smash Bros. And Pokemon, while acknowledging phone bill costs as a barrier. Game Corner for Everyone asks readers for photos of their game setups, with an example of an N64 game rack. The page concludes with a variety of reader illustrations, each accompanied by a caption and the artist's name and prefecture. The next page is from GameSoft Fan Club 2 and features the results of the first Thracia 776 popular character poll from Fire Emblem. The poll is divided into categories: Best Hero, Best Heroine, Most Reliable Character, and Nice Old Man Character, along with Famous Villain and Cool Enemy Character. The top 3 characters for each category are: Best Hero, first, Asbel 60 PT, second, Seti 48 PT, third, Dean 36 Point. Best Heroine: first, Lion 46 PT, second, Nana 42 PT, third, Marita 33 Point. Most Reliable Character: first, Leaf 52 PT, second, Finn 50 PT. Spell: Asbel 40 Point. Nice Old Man Character: first, Great Knight 35 PT, second, Dagda 25 PT, third, Conamore 12 Point. Famous Villain: first, Shiva 51 PT, second, Tina 29 PT, third, Shanam 28 Point. Cool Enemy Character: first, Reinhardt 24 PT, second, Kempf 23 PT. Spasipilli: third, Long Arch 12 Point. At the bottom right, there is a section titled, What is Emblem Saga? It discusses the future of the Emblem series in the wake of N64 sales declining and mentions Emblem Saga as a successor title. It is noted that while intended as a software to enjoy for fans, there was a shock when N64 sales decreased. The article wonders about the direction of FEFC and mentions that next month's FEFC will be on break, with a renewal plan for the month after based on reader opinions. They encourage readers to look forward to it. This page is packed with Nintendo 64 game previews and fan submissions. First up is a section about The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask, questioning what kind of mask Majora's Mask actually is. It mentions a side story will be featured in the next issue and includes fan artwork and comments. Next, there's a feature on Super Mario RPG 2, which we now know as Paper Mario. It states that screenshots are being revealed and the release date is approaching. Fan expectations and artwork are also showcased here. The Pokemon Gold and Silver section gives tips on catching legendary Pokemon. It suggests waiting on Route 36 and using Gold Spray. Again, fan submissions related to Pokemon are included. There's also a section dedicated to Mother 3, confirming its planned release in 2000, despite some delays. It assures readers that the bass fishing feature is still included, and asks for fan submissions, expressing concerns about names being missed previously. The page also highlights Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards, boasting 100 new screenshots and high anticipation. It mentions strategy guides and sample ROMs being planned. Fan artwork for Kirby is also displayed. Finally, there's a section for reader submissions called Zururu Game Championship, categorized from Pure Zururu to Half-Baked Zuru. It lists contributors and their locations. At the bottom, there is address information for sending fan postcards to the magazine. This page is a manga strip titled Dream Runker Little Desert Adventure with You, which is a side story. Dream Drunker Extra Story Volume 3. The story seems to involve Mario and a village elder being attacked by insect creatures. The elder, referred to as Elder, instructs everyone to retreat to his house. Mario and the elder are shown fighting against these insect enemies. The dialogue mentions passers-by collaborators and someone with amazing reflexes. The enemies are referred to as Omera, or you guys, in a threatening manner, and the green-clothed man, presumably Mario, is targeted. Mario is asked for help at the end of the strip. The manga appears to be a humorous take on a fantasy adventure setting featuring Mario. The next page is a manga comic strip featuring characters resembling Mario, Luigi, and Bowser, alongside original characters Light and Amos. The story appears to be set in the Super Mario universe. In the comic, Mario and Luigi are initially defeated by Bowser, who is gloating about their weakness. Bowser then orders his forces to prepare for the finale. The scene shifts to a village under attack by piranha plants, described as the last fortress where they cannot retreat. One character wonders if Light will arrive in time. Suddenly, they notice Light returning, surprisingly bringing Bowser with him. Bowser, on top of a large turtle-shaped ship, shouts to open all cannons and unleashes an attack of piranha plants on the village. The character descriptions introduce Light as a boy from Flower Village who lives with Paku-kun, a piranha plant child, and Amos as a mysterious warrior staying in Flower Village with an unknown past. This page is a manga strip depicting Bowser in action against a large group of insects and their leader. Two onlookers are amazed by Bowser's power, but question the crash of Bowser's ship. Bowser reprimands someone for excessive action and expresses concern for Light. Suddenly, Mario unexpectedly appears and is confused about being there. Bowser confronts Mario, who seems immobile. A child finds this funny. An old man is shocked that Light was an insect. Mario reveals his failed plan to use insects to control the Mushroom Kingdom, which has backfired. An enemy is surprised by their annihilation. Light demands the release of a hostage, but Bowser declares the hostage vital for his own survival. At the bottom, character introductions include an elder combo and a mystery magician who controls insects. This page presents a humorous manga strip featuring characters from the Super Mario universe, particularly focusing on Bowser and Mario. The story unfolds with Bowser proclaiming himself as the ultimate villain, boasting about his power to a kid. He's challenged when the kid suggests Mario is the hero, leading to Bowser's outrage and an attack. Mario and Luigi are then called upon by the same kid to intervene. Bowser's depicted unleashing a fiery attack, which Mario and the kid manage to overcome. The final panels show a peaceful resolution, with everyone seemingly relaxing together, implying the conflict is over, and Bowser is accepting the situation, even wearing sunglasses and relaxing with the kid and other Mushroom Kingdom characters. The story concludes with the Japanese word oshimai, meaning the end. This article, Joy of Creation and Pain of Production, explores game development and related topics. Chizuru discusses art, reflecting on feedback about illustrations and comparing their skills to a manga artist, despite using Max. An interview with Nakamura Hikaru reveals how resourcefulness compensates for slow technology. The piece emphasizes that skill transcends tools. The page incorporates reader contributions, including a love advice column. It also features illustrations, sake recommendations, Kinkame from Nakamura Hikaru's hometown, and a featured game, Furai no Shiren 2. Additional sections highlight snacks and call for postcard submissions. The article concludes with an anecdote about the tedious process of creating a strategy guide for Donkey Kong 64. This page is a special feature titled Doratech Palace, or Hall of Dream Technique, and it is Volume 6 of the Doratech collection. This collection focuses on showcasing secret techniques for 17 Nintendo 64 games, from the latter half of 1999 to the first half of the year 2000. The editorial text mentions a playful daughter version theme, following previous brother versions, and suggests the content might even be educational, referring to unusual kanji characters. Visually, the page features a classical architectural backdrop with columns and a woman in a pink dress, reinforcing the daughter theme of this special collection of dream techniques. This page is a contents page for a special Doratech section, an Anadome version, in a Japanese gaming magazine. The section features game tips and tricks for titles like Resident Evil 2, Star Wars, Rogue Squadron, Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, the Japanese Star Twins, and Super Robot Wars 64. It also lists J-League Jikyu Winning 11-4, International Superstar Soccer 98, Ogre Battle 64, Person of Lordly Caliber, and what appears to be related content for Neon Genesis Evangelion. Further down the content list are Winback, the Japan-only Densha de Go, 64 Train Simulator, Lode Runner 3D, Penny Racers, Diddy Kong Racing, Super Smash Bros., the obscure Japan-only fighting game Fighting Legend, F-Cup Maniacs, Bangai-O, and Fire Emblem. Thracia, 776. At the bottom of the page, a Mario comic strip provides instructions on how to safely detach in-book supplements from the magazine. This page is dedicated to the N64 version of Biohazard 2, which is known internationally as Resident Evil 2. It highlights 2 extra scenarios available in the game: the Fourth Survivor and the Tofu Survivor. The page explains that to unlock the Fourth Survivor scenario, players need to achieve an S rank in either the Leon B or Claire B scenarios. Once the Fourth Survivor is cleared, the even more challenging Tofu Survivor scenario becomes available. The Fourth Survivor stars Hunk, tasked with escaping. The Tofu Survivor is similar in structure, but features a block of tofu as the protagonist, armed only with a knife, making it an incredibly difficult challenge. The article praises the N64 version of Resident Evil 2 for its high quality and original content. It also mentions that Resident Evil 0 is also planned for release on the N64. This page is all about Star Wars Rogue Squadron on the N64, highlighting super deals on passcodes. It's showing off a range of cheat codes you can enter in the game's options menu. These passcodes unlock various cool features like Ace for hard mode, Blameus to see staff photos, Chicken to play as an ATST, credits for the credits roll, Farmboy to use the Millennium Falcon in Han Solo mode, and Coelch to drive a Buick Electra instead of a V-Wing. Other codes include Maestro for the sound room, Tied Up to fly the Imperial TIE Interceptor, Radar to change the radar, Fujiyama for bonus stages, Gameiad to unlock all 16 stages, No Limit for unlimited continues, and ADVSUBW for powered-up weapons and shields. The page also features screenshots showing the password entry screen and some of the unlocked content, like the staff photos, ATST gameplay, and the Millennium Falcon in action. It also mentions that if you input the codes correctly, you will hear R2D2. It encourages players to try these codes out to experience the game in new ways. This page is dedicated to tips and tricks for various N64 games. It starts with Star Wars Episode 1, Racer, detailing how to access the debug mode by selecting New File in Tournament mode, entering your name and then inputting RRDEBUG while holding Z. In the debug menu, game cheats can be accessed to enable features like invincibility, mirrored mode, and editing vehicle stats. It mentions using these cheats to reach speeds over 1,000 miles per hour. The page then highlights a shortcut in the Abyss course of Star Wars Episode 1, Racer. It explains how to hit the left fence at a specific point, then use the C buttons and the 3D stick to jump over to another part of the course for a shortcut. Next, it covers Star Twins, a Japanese-only strategy game. It describes a location in Juno Stage 3, Zone 2 of the planet Tourette, where you can find buildings with chimneys. Inside these buildings, you can collect unlimited coins and ammunition. Finally, it features Super Robot Wars 64, also a Japan-exclusive strategy, RPG. This section advises that if you are short on funds, you should target and defeat units marked in yellow. These units are important in the scenario, and defeating them will earn you experience points and money. However, it warns against always defeating yellow units, as they have a story role. This page is a feature on cheat techniques for GQ J-League 1999, Perfect Striker 2, known as International Superstar Soccer 99 internationally. It details several hidden features and cheats you can activate in the game. One section explains how to unlock the International Match mode by winning both the J-League and Special Game modes, and then inputting a button sequence at the title screen. Another part shows you how to create a player that resembles the famous footballer Hidetoshi Nakata, providing his stats and creation details. There's also a guide to activating Big Head mode with a cheat code entered on the title screen, and instructions on how to make your player dive during a match. Finally, it lists command inputs for accessing overseas clubs, Japan Dreams, and World Dreams teams, and a hidden face selection for created players, all activated from the title screen. This page is about Ogre Battle 64, person of lordly caliber. It details game hints and tips, specifically how to easily level up using infinite item duplication, and how to acquire Elm Pedora. The infinite item duplication method involves manipulating item slots in units. By equipping and unequipping certain items like Cure Leaf and Hero Statue across different units and returning to the formation screen, players can increase the quantity of these items from 55 to 99, allowing for easy level boosting through item usage. The page also explains how to obtain different types of Pedora items: Light Pedora, Dark Pedora, and Other Pedora. Light Pedora can be obtained after Chapter 3 by visiting Muji's village between 7 p.m. and 1 a.m., then going to Volmus Mine and giving the letter from Father, found in Katovi village, to a specific NPC in the mine. Dark Pedora can be obtained after Chapter 2 at Jiram village by encountering a young boy who has lost his dog and giving him a hellhound. Other Pedora are obtained by training in various locations and defeating the training master, who appears after training 5 times in a location like Mount Fukar or Gorilla Fortress, with screenshots showing the battle and item acquisition. This text provides tips for the Japan-exclusive N64 game based on Neon Genesis Evangelion. To unlock music mode, start a new game and name your character music_on to listen to the 60 background music tracks. To conserve dowsing rods, save before using them in a field map, and reload if you don't find treasure. The game also features specific conditions to view key scenes from the anime. In Mission 1, rotate the stick 10+ times before Unit 01 lifts off to see it fall. In Mission 2, defeat the Angel using the Prog Knife and a core attack within 1 minute. In Mission 3, defeat Ramil after its first attack with Unit 0 protecting Unit 01. In Mission 9, fail a command input during battle for a scene similar to Unit 01's arm being blown off. This page is about the N64 game Winback, known internationally as Covert Ops, Nuclear Dawn. It details hidden game modes and conditions to unlock, versus battle characters, and different endings. The page introduces Trial Mode, unlocked after clearing Story Mode, regardless of difficulty. This mode scores players based on clear time, remaining health, and enemies defeated per stage. Max Power Mode unlocks after clearing Story Mode on normal or hard difficulty, with a total score of 20,000 points or more, granting unlimited ammo for all weapons except bombs. Sudden Death Mode is unlocked after clearing Story Mode on hard difficulty within 5 hours, where both player and enemies die in one hit. The page lists conditions to unlock boss characters for Versus Mode based on cumulative points in Trial Mode. Reaching point thresholds unlocks characters like Lyra, Leon, Ryan, Thunder, Dyke, Gant, Banderas, Jin, Deathmask, and Cecil. Finally, the page explains the branching ending conditions based on playtime when reaching Mission 23. If the playtime to reach Mission 23 is over 5 hours, you get the bad ending. For the good ending, reach Mission 23 within 5 hours, and then reach Mission 26's power plant within 6 hours. For the best ending, reach Mission 23 within 5 hours, Mission 26's power plant within 6 hours, and defeat all bosses to achieve mission complete. This page is about the N64 game Densha de Go 64, highlighting various gameplay elements. It introduces the concept of trucks appearing at railroad crossings as obstacles, leading to potential accidents if the player is not careful, even resulting in penalty points and restarts. The page also details the conditions for unlocking hidden routes, which require obtaining star marks in all 16 sections of the game. Different colored stars unlock different hidden routes: silver stars for the Komachi route, and gold stars for the Tohoku Shinkansen route. Hidden routes don't count towards star marks. Another section discusses continuous play up to Ueno Station, emphasizing the longer driving distances and the need for concentration. It mentions that reaching Shinagawa Station non-stop with a score of 15 or more points leads to a connecting game at Shinagawa Station, a bonus stage familiar to the Densha de Go series. This page shows screenshots of these scenarios, including the truck at the crossing, route selection screens, gameplay in different routes, and the connecting game at Shinagawa Station. This page showcases 2 Nintendo 64 games, Loadrunner 3D and Choro Q64-2 Hacha Mecha Grand Prix Race, known as Penny Racers internationally. For Loadrunner 3D, the page presents cheat codes and options, including level skipping, level selection, accessing secret worlds, camera mode adjustments, unlocking all worlds, and changing block graphics. For penny racers, the page details how to unlock special items like the H-laser and hidden car bodies. To obtain these, players need to consistently achieve third place or higher in the AA class cups within the game. The page also briefly touches upon Densha de Go sharing game. Train Go 64 at the top, explaining how players can customize train stop patterns at stations using brake controls. This page highlights expert techniques in Super Smash Bros. It details Puff Kirby's pro skills, focusing on Jigglypuff, referred to as Purins. The first technique is called Hataku, which can break shields in 2 hits when used by Kirby, who has copied Jigglypuff's ability. The page suggests using this when the opponent is shielding. The next technique is called Just Sleep Anti-War, where you only use Jigglypuff's sleep move. It mentions that this is a bonus for players who win only using the sleep move, with a 30,000 point bonus mentioned on the stage clear screen. The page also details Ness's powerful headbutt, explaining how to perform a strong headbutt with Ness. This involves using the C button for a small jump, then immediately inputting the 3D stick up and pressing A. This allows Ness to perform repeated strong headbutts. Finally, there is a section titled Get on the R-Wing, describing how to ride the R-Wing in the Sector Z stage. It explains that you can ride the R-Wing, but if you stay on it for too long, you might be shaken off or taken off screen and become a star KO. The page humorously asks, shall we fly to the end of space? The next page is about Super Smash Bros. For the Nintendo 64, giving tips on how to improve your game. One tip is for Pikachu, explaining how to use Thunder Jolt while moving. Another tip details how to cancel the landing lag after a powerful aerial attack using the Z trigger, especially recommending this for Link to make aerial attacks more effective. The page also discusses how to quickly recover to the stage after being launched away by using the Z trigger to regain battle readiness and avoid being KO'd. There's a section on Kirby's Kirby Flash bonus in single-player mode, suggesting players aim for this bonus after clearing stages to get high scores. Finally, it explains how the Harisen fan item becomes gigantic when you take damage and how to use it effectively for a powerful counterattack, turning the tide of battle in one hit. This page is packed with secret techniques, or dry tech, for 2 games. Firstly, for Super Smash Bros., there's a tip on how to invade the Sylph Company stage using Kirby, or Jigglypuff, and Pokemon from Yamabuki City. It seems you can access a hidden area. The screenshot shows Pikachu and Jigglypuff in a side-scrolling section of what appears to be Saffron City, with a percentage display similar to the damage counter in Smash Bros. The main feature of the page is for a fighting game called Kakuto Denshou F-Cup Maniacs, a title that remained exclusive to Japan. There are 4 dry tech tips highlighted here. One allows you to walk faster in the Sugoroku mode by pressing the L trigger while moving. Another is purely visual. Pressing L or R trigger on the game mode selection screen makes the screen wobble for some reason. There are also dry tech tips related to characters. Hidden characters like Fabian, Samurai, Mo, Master, and Cherry can be unlocked by meeting certain conditions, like clearing normal mode or specific challenges. Finally, holding the R trigger on the character select screen allows you to change the character's costume or pose, adding a bit of flair. The page concludes by musing on what dry tech actually is, suggesting it's all about discovering secret ways to play and get more enjoyment out of games, even ones you might have set aside. The next page features information on 2 games. Firstly, Bangai-O, an intense shooter, details secret commands to unlock all stages, with hints supposedly found in the instruction manual. It mentions gameplay changes and extra options appearing after clearing stages, such as missile trails and 3D stickshot, and encourages replayability. Secondly, Fire Emblem Thracia 776, a strategy RPG, is highlighted for its endless level-up system. The page explains how to gain experience by attacking enemies without defeating them, emphasizing the use of indirect attacks and bell items to level up efficiently. It advises players to prioritize defeating the main boss quickly while utilizing this level-up strategy. This page is the introduction to a special section titled Dream Techniques Hall of Fame Special, referred to as the Dream Vision version. The page uses the English text Hall of Fame, the Dream Technique, and features an image of a woman in a pink dress standing atop ancient ruins with planets and stars in the background. It is highlighted as being a book-in-book section within the April issue of 64Dream magazine. This page is titled, Death Expert's Guerrilla Classroom N64 Lecture. It's the 34th lesson focusing on the N64 expansion pack. The page features a Q&A format with questions from readers about the expansion pack and related topics. One question asks why the expansion pack doesn't work with certain software. The answer explains that some software is designed only for the standard 4 megabytes of RAM in the N64 and doesn't utilize the extra memory provided by the expansion pack. It also mentions that some games are programmed to use both hands of memory, implying the expansion pack effectively provides two sets of memory to work with, right and left hands. Another question is about the possibility of even larger memory expansion, like 8 megabytes or 16 megabytes, beyond the 4 megabytes of the standard expansion pack. The answer suggests it's technically possible, but not practical due to cost and market considerations. It mentions the Dreamcast as a more powerful console with 16 megabytes of main memory plus dedicated memory for graphics and sound. Finally, there's a question about stuck pixels or dot loss on LCD screens of Game Boys and Game Boy Color. The answer explains this is a common phenomenon called dot loss and suggests it might be due to poor contact. It advises trying to claim warranty if possible, especially for Game Boy Pocket screens, but acknowledges it might be harder for smaller Game Boy screens. A screenshot of a Pokemon-like game is used to visually represent screen dots. This page discusses video game ratings in Japan, comparing them to the American ESRB system. The article explains the purpose of rating systems, which is to categorize games based on content like violence, language, and suggestive themes, to help parents make informed decisions. It mentions the ESRB rating categories like EC, early childhood, E, everyone, T, teen, M, mature, and AO, adults only, and describes the general age groups and content associated with each. The article notes that in Japan, CESA, Computer Entertainment Software Association, acts as a self-regulatory body for game ratings, similar to ESRB in America. It discusses the differences and similarities between the Japanese and American systems, highlighting the challenges of applying a unified rating system across different cultural contexts and hardware platforms. It mentions specific games as examples within the rating context, including Zelda, Mario Party, Smash Bros., and Pokemon for the E rating, Star Twins, Akumajo Dracula, Nocturne in the Moonlight, Castlevania, Symphony of the Night, and Leslamania 2000 for T rating, and Biohazard 2, Resident Evil 2, BioViolence Killer, and Doom for the M rating. The article emphasizes that rating systems aim to ensure that games are appropriate for different age groups and to provide transparency about game content. The next page talks about user impressions of the game Kyojin no Doshin, which translates to Doshin the Giant. One person from Fukuoka Prefecture describes it as a relaxing and interesting game, and mentions they played the game in December and got hooked on it. They found having only one save slot a bit tough, and pondered if the game is a god game. Another person from Saitama Prefecture describes the scenery in the game as strange, and talks about the giant's perspective and actions in Bald Island, mentioning the giant is loved by people and performs actions for them. They reflect on the giant's role and purpose in Bald Island. The page also features Virtual Pro Wrestling 2. It mentions this is a must-have for wrestling fans, highlighting wrestlers like Jumbo Tsuruta, Mitsuharu Misawa, Akira Taue, and Toshiaki Kawada, and the ability to recreate tag teams like the Holy Demon Army. It praises the game for featuring not just real wrestlers, but also fictional ones, and the extensive edit mode. The reviewer mentions the game is very interesting and engaging. Despite being critical of some aspects, it's overall very fun, and the wrestling action feels impactful with good pacing and replay features. They also bring up dream matches like Mitsuharu Misawa versus Kenta Kobashi and Toshiaki Kawada versus Akira Taue, and emphasize that wrestling fans will deeply enjoy this game. This page is titled N64 Forum from Readers' Letters, and presents 3 distinct letters from readers regarding the N64 and Nintendo's direction at the time. The first letter, titled The Power of Authenticity from Kumagai Kyozo-san, discusses the inherent value of genuine games, comparing Nintendo's ability to craft both excellent hardware and software to that of creating quality electronics and automobiles. They praise Nintendo's creative spirit, referencing Miyamoto and the concept of creativity, but also observe that players don't always necessarily seek purely authentic gaming experiences. The second letter, titled Nintendo Is This Okay? From Buchineko-san in Saitama Prefecture, expresses concern and questions Nintendo's current trajectory. The writer specifically mentions a game title related to Dolphin, likely the codename for the GameCube at the time, stating, "I can't stay with Dolphin," indicating disappointment and a lack of desire to purchase. This suggests a critical view of Nintendo's upcoming plans. The final letter, titled "Changing Games is Not Hardware," from Kuromiya Toshihiro-san in Yamagata Prefecture, argues that hardware is merely a vessel for games, comparing it to a plate for serving food. The writer believes that the N64's hardware capabilities are not being fully utilized, and implies that Nintendo might be focusing too much on hardware innovation, rather than maximizing the potential of their software offerings. They suggest that truly changing the game experience comes from software, not hardware. This page features reader opinions and questions regarding the Nintendo 64 and the future of gaming. There's a discussion about how the PlayStation and Dreamcast are perceived as more powerful and representing the future compared to the N64. A reader expresses worry about Konami acquiring all the rights for professional baseball players and how this might impact other baseball game developers, like Namco's Family Stadium series, Power League, Hudson's Pro Baseball Family Stadium, Imagineer's Pro Yaku Series, and Ultra Baseball. The reader is concerned that only Konami baseball games will feature real player names moving forward. In the reader feedback section, one person mentions enjoying Mario Party 2, but feeling lonely as others are playing Pokemon and Donkey Kong. Another reader from Fukushima talks about page 77 of the March issue, and identifies as a Hiroshima fan. Someone else mentions using a sticker featuring Ashura, and Ashura for exam luck. One reader shares a dream about Link from Zelda after sleeping with 64Dream magazine under their pillow. Another feedback snippet discusses the Kira Kira Star Knight True Star Savior Corner, finding it too perfect. Finally, a reader asks if there will be a two-player mode for Anne and Kaiser, and wants them to appear together. Starting March 1st, Lawson stores are promoting Game Boy Rewrite software, now offering third-party titles alongside Nintendo games. 3 recommended games are highlighted. Namco Gallery Volume 3 includes Sky Kid, Tower of Babel, Family Tennis, and Tabletop Boy. Konami GB Collection Volume 1 features Contra, Gradius, Twinbee Racing Rainbow Bell Adventure, Nemesis, and Gradius 2. Super Mario Bros. DX, a remake of the original, offers 2-player co-op, VS game, and a challenge mode, with hidden eggs and red coins for collectible medals. Super Mario Bros. DX is the hot buy, with copies released by March 21st recommended for their nostalgic appeal, and new game modes like the challenge game, where players can find hidden eggs and red coins. This page is an Akihabara market survey for game prices dated February 10th. It notes that prices for games like Donkey Kong 64 are holding steady due to their large packaging, while Mario Party 2 is consistently selling well and prices are stable. There's a hardware price list showing costs for consoles such as the Nintendo 64, Game Boy Color, Dreamcast, and PlayStation, mentioning the Game Boy Color is fetching premium prices. The page also lists a large number of software titles with their standard and Akihabara prices and publishers. Some of the Nintendo 64 games listed include Super Mario 64, Mario Kart 64, Mario Party 2, F-Zero X, Wave Race 64, Star Fox 64, 1080 Degrees Snowboarding, Donkey Kong 64, Pilot Wings 64, Yoshi's Story, Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, Pokemon Stadium 2, Pokemon Snap, and The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time. At the bottom, there is a section about the Game Boy version of Ghosts and Goblins, praising its quality and comparing it favorably to the Famicom version. This page showcases a Nintendo PowerWriter software title list for Super Famicom games available for download. It features a wide range of popular titles from Nintendo and other makers, including Super Donkey Kong 1, 2, and 3, Mystical Ninja starring Goemon, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Mega Man 7, Demon's Crest, Super Mario All-Stars, Torneko, The Last Hope, Metal Max 2, Super Punch-Out, Mario's Picross, F-Zero, and the Japan-exclusive Fire Emblem, Thracia 776, and Genealogy of the Holy War, as well as Tactics Ogre. The page also contains a selling calendar for Game Boy games, listing upcoming releases for February, March, and April, detailing various titles and their prices. This page is an interview celebrating the release of Shiren the Wanderer 2, Oni Attack, Shiren Castle, for the Nintendo 64. The interview features Nakamura Koichi, who has been in game development for 20 years, and Tomi Shinichiro, dedicated to the Shiren series for 8 years. The page includes images of udon noodles, an N64 console, and characters from the game alongside text sections titled Trial Development, Mysterious Kagawa Prefecture, and a Q&A. The next page is an interview about the development of Shiren the Wanderer 2 with Nakamura Mitsukazu from Chunsoft and Tomi Shinichiro, the game producer. They discuss starting development in spring of 1997 and the challenges of working with the N64 hardware, noting its high capabilities but the difficulty in fully utilizing them. They also mention the freedom the N64 allows compared to previous consoles and the importance of sound effects. The interview touches upon the development timeframe, being around 10 months, and the initial plan to use 64DD, though they started with cartridges. They discuss the core concept of Shiren the Wanderer games being playable many times and appealing to dedicated fans, while also aiming to broaden the audience to younger players with the N64 version. They mention plans for a Game Boy version to be developed in parallel, but acknowledge it will be a significant undertaking that could delay the N64 release further. They ultimately decided against linking the Game Boy version due to the development workload. There is a screenshot from the game showing gameplay with the text, quote, which translates to, "Stepped on a level crossing trap." The text below the screenshot highlights the game's concept as a 1,000 times playable RPG, and notes the picture is from the N64 version. The next page showcases an interview focusing on the development of Shiren the Wanderer GB, Tsukigami Mura no Kaibutsu, for the Game Boy Color. The interviewees, Tomi and Nakamura, discuss making the Game Boy Color version color exclusive, with no plans for a Game Boy Advance version at the time of the interview, though they were considering future GBA titles. They talk about aiming for a year-end release, and how the scenario for the Game Boy version is already complete. Tomi mentions being involved with the Shiren series since joining Chunsoft and wanting to create something different from typical sports games, aiming for an Edo-era setting for Shiren. They discuss the main character's design, having around 50 samples, and creating the partner character Koppa, because Shiren alone felt lonely. They chose a weasel for Koppa, aiming for a slightly silly but helpful companion, and they mention that the music will also be handled by Kondo-san. The page also includes screenshots from the game depicting gameplay in dungeons and battles, highlighting the in-game damage display and monster encounters. The bottom of the page also contains a caution about playing in vehicles and getting motion sickness. This page features an interview focusing on the game concept Siren 2, although it may be a working title and related to the Shiren the Wanderer series, not a direct sequel. The interview highlights the involvement of Koichi Sugiyama, known for his music in the Dragon Quest and Torneko series, who also contributes to the Siren series. The discussion covers idea generation retreats in Izu, emphasizing the importance of a different environment for brainstorming. They reflect on past retreats, including one in Waseda, that didn't work out due to distractions. The interview further explores the setting of Siren 2 in Kagawa Prefecture, with its seas and mountains influencing the game's design. They discuss if the game's towns resemble Kagawa, and mention the presence of udon shops and the Mount Zensuji area as inspirations. Regarding the N64 music for Siren 2, it's mentioned that it will have a feel similar to the Super Famicom version. The conversation touches upon a gorgeous retreat in a sweet room for inspiration, but also the challenges faced during retreats, like poor lighting causing drowsiness during meetings and video presentations. They conclude that the retreat location was not ideal. The interview ends by stating that they conducted around 34 retreats for the N64 version of the game, and many more before that stage. An interview with the developers of the Shiren the Wanderer series reveals the small team size and their experimentation with online multiplayer. Early attempts with simultaneous dungeon exploration, even on N64, proved unbalanced, leading to a chaotic robbery game experience. Network features were considered for the Windows version but limited to data sharing. They are exploring more robust network capabilities for future titles. Regarding overseas releases, the game, known as Ninja, is selling well in America. They considered localizing Torneko, The Last Hope, in the Super Famicom era, but deemed the target audience unsuitable. While interested in an American release of Shiren under the Ninja title, no firm plans exist. The page also includes a production year table highlighting Chunsoft's extensive game history across multiple platforms, including Door, Dragon Quest, and various Shiren games. This page is an interview with Nakamura Koichi, who is from Kagawa Prefecture. The interview is titled Mysterious Kagawa Prefecture Chapter, and explores his upbringing and childhood. He talks about growing up in a natural environment, playing in the fields and mountains, and making his own toys. He mentions that as a child he aspired to be a doctor, inspired by the manga blackjack. The interview also touches upon Kagawa Prefecture itself, describing it as a mysterious country and highlighting locations within it like Marugame, Kotohira, and Konpira-san, famous for the Konpira Shrine, and Sanuki Udon, a local specialty. While featured in 64Dream magazine, the content of this page is more about personal background and regional introduction, rather than specifically focusing on N64 games. This interview with Nakamura details his early fascination with computers. Initially drawn to medicine, his interest shifted in high school when he joined the computer club, initially for games. He quickly became engrossed in programming, learning BASIC and C, and finding joy in optimizing code for speed on early microcomputers. He recalls the popularity of Space Invaders in 1979, but his interest lay in creation. Nakamura participated in his school's math club, using programming calculators, and even created the school's homepage. He emphasizes the hands-on, tinkering aspect of early computing, and how learning to program was a valuable learning experience. This page talks about buying a personal computer for the first time in high school. The person being interviewed, Nakamura, mentions working part-time delivering newspapers to buy his own PC, an NEC PC 8001. He talks about how expensive computers were back then, around 180,000 yen, and that he initially wanted it for audio, but ended up using it for programming. He also describes the struggle of using a small color TV as a monitor, and working with only 40 characters per line. The interview then moves to game creation. Nakamura mentions making games with great effort, and submitting them to magazines like I.O. He discusses how he created a system to make program input easier, and even submitted a copy of the game Space Panic, earning around 10,000 yen. He used this money to upgrade to a higher-end NEC PC 8801. The page also includes side panels about Kagawa Prefecture, udon noodles, and zen, and electricity stores, but these are not related to N64 or games. There is also a picture of a bicycle shop called Ux Miyawaki. This page is an interview section titled Mysterious Kagawa Prefecture Edition, Furai's Interview, featuring Nakamura. Nakamura discusses his early programming experiences, saying he felt quite skilled even back then by reading magazines and realizing he was ahead of the curve. He mentions that large companies were making software, and he was involved in game development. He recounts making the game Door when he was a second-year high school student and entering it into the Enix Game Contest in 1981, where it won second prize. He received 500,000 yen in prize money. Door was later released in the spring, and he made around 100,000 yen per month in royalties. The interview touches on the strong community bonds in rural areas like his hometown, compared to the anonymity of Tokyo. He felt a longing for Tokyo, but appreciated the close-knit community back home, and mentions returning to Kagawa Prefecture a couple of times a year. There is a section titled Chizuru's Analog Chat, which summarizes Nakamura Hikarichi as a genius programmer. He is quoted as saying his success was due to luck and hard work. The page includes a screenshot from the game Door, released by Enix in July 1985. It was described as having innovative character designs and system configurations for the time, and was a precursor to hit games like Dragon Quest by Yuji Horii. This page is an interview with game developer Nakamura Hikari in a question-and-answer format. Nakamura shares his thoughts on what makes a fun game, highlighting player immersion and engagement, and admits he was most addicted to playing Tetris on the Super Famicom. When asked about the Pokemon boom, he reflects on conversations with Tajiri-kun, the creator of Pokemon, about using movement as a key game element, and how he realized this resonated with the childhood fun of collecting insects. Nakamura reveals his favorite food is udon, and that he is allergic to shrimp and shellfish. He expresses his admiration for Nintendo and the management style of former president Yamauchi Sacho. Looking back on his 20-year game development career, he recounts the difficulties of game development, particularly during the creation of Dragon Quest II, which he describes as his most challenging but also most rewarding experience. Nakamura also mentions early Famicom developers, such as Miyata-san and Horii-san, as creators he deeply respects. He explains that the greatest joy in game development comes from seeing players enjoy and appreciate the games he creates. The page includes a small image of the game Morita Shogi 64 and a short note mentioning the development period for Dragon Quest II. This interview with a Chunsoft developer reveals insights into their game creation philosophy, emphasizing enjoyable and surprising experiences. They cite Jacob's Ladder and Cure as favorite movies. They humorously mention Fukakyon as their ideal female talent. The developer aims to create a lifelong game and is open to exploring game development outside of Chunsoft. Their consistent suit-wearing habit stems from their company's beginnings and dealings with financial institutions. The interview concludes with a message to N64 users, promoting Furai no Siren 2 and other new games. A goods and software present campaign is detailed, offering prizes like traditional hats, a sword, game cartridges, and posters related to the Furai no Siren series. To enter, readers must send a postcard by March 21, 2000. Nintendo's Volume 43 N64 question box addresses reader inquiries about The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask. The game will launch April 27th, with debugging nearly complete and mass production starting in late February. TV commercials for Kirby 64 will target younger audiences with afternoon anime ads, while Zelda commercials will air late at night. Regarding the memory expansion pack, 2 package types will be offered, one including the pack and one without, both priced at 7,800 yen. A standalone cartridge will cost 5,800 yen. Majora's Mask requires the memory expansion pack, and the Hires pack is the same device. The article also mentions Donkey Kong 64 has sold over 1 million copies and utilizes the expansion pack. Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, is set to release on March 24th, with commercials showcasing its gameplay starting March 3rd. A bass fishing commercial featuring a comedian is expected around March 10th. While there are no plans for a Kirby anime despite fan requests, Kirby's popularity is evident, exemplified by a giant ice sculpture. Information on a Kirby mousepad is available on page 127. A Game Boy cartridge rewriting service launches March 1st, initially offering 21 titles, expanding to 75, including Super Mario Land 3, Wario Land, and Super Mario Bros. DX. The Famicom Super Mario Bros. Is being revived for Game Boy Color through this service, recognizing its 6.18 million sales. This page presents a Q&A section. The first question asks about the announcement of Dolphin, and the response is vague, stating they can't say anything concrete yet, but imply announcements are coming, possibly around spring. They mention DVD technology and collaboration with Matsushita Electric, and highlight the anticipation for titles like Zelda. The next question is about the World Hobby Fair. The response reports it was held in 4 locations, Nagoya, Fukuoka, Tokyo, and Osaka, and was very successful. It mentions large crowds, TV commercials, newspaper advertisements, and Game Boy Color sales, which sold out in Nagoya and Fukuoka. A movie of The Legend of Zelda: Majora's Mask was shown at the Tokyo venue. The third question is about Shiren 2 release. The answer states, Chunsoft is handling sales, and Nintendo is in charge of distribution and promotion. The release date is still undecided, but it is anticipated as a major RPG. The final question asks if Kaga Shozo from the Fire Emblem company has resigned. The answer confirms he retired from Intelligent Systems last year, around autumn. He was responsible for the scenario of the Fire Emblem series. Despite his departure, other staff and music-related personnel remain at the company, and they plan to continue the series. The Intelligent Systems homepage is mentioned as showing currently on vacation, suggesting development is still underway, and new Fire Emblem titles are expected for the N64. This 64Dream question box section addresses several N64 game inquiries. Regarding Mario RPG 2, the official title is pending, but it's currently announced as Mario RPG 2 in America. Pokémon Stadium 3 is in consideration due to high demand, but no release date is confirmed. Pokémon Snap 2 is completely unknown and development hasn't begun. The Pokémon League will return, with rule revisions to combat cheating. Finally, the Pikachu question addresses online criticism, suggesting the character's popularity fuels both positive and negative reactions, with some users disliking Pikachu due to its fame. The official Pokémon website is recommended for information. This Q&A section covers several Game Boy Advance topics. The GBA is confirmed to play older Game Boy games with improved visuals due to its larger screen. There are no performance enhancements for Game Boy Color games. The section advises against playing any games in the dark to protect eye health, and recommends breaks. Finally, it suggests a new Metroid game is likely in development for the GBA, given the demand for side-scrolling action games and the team's focus on Game Boy software. The team, including Sakamoto, appears to be actively working on multiple projects, hinting at a new Metroid title. This page features a N64 question box section from 64Dream magazine, where readers' questions are answered. The first question asks what to do if your Game Boy is broken. The advice is to check with the store where you bought it. It also mentions contacting Nintendo service centers directly for repairs. The second question is about joining Nintendo as an employee. It states that a basic requirement is a college degree, and it outlines the recruitment process, including written and interview exams. There is a table detailing job openings for April 2000 across technical, administrative, and other roles, with a total of 60 positions advertised. The third question asks about what kind of games the magazine's editor, Hanma-san, played as a child. Hanma-san replies, he played typical outdoor games like marbles and baseball, as there were no video games back then in his childhood. He also enjoyed wrestling and making dioramas. At the bottom, there's a call for readers to submit their questions about the N64, inviting them to send in their Nintendo 64-related queries via mail or fax to the magazine. A 64Dream magazine article explores rumors about Nintendo's future. The primary focus is on Uwasa, internet and reader speculations. The first rumor centers on Dolphin, Nintendo's next-gen console, later known as the GameCube, suggesting a powerful CPU and a potential release delay compared to the PlayStation 2. Concerns are raised about its price and performance. The second rumor discusses President Yamauchi's possible retirement and potential successors, mentioning Mr. Arakawa. The third rumor proposes a headquarters move to America. Finally, the article posits that the Game Boy Advance, GBA, could be the true victor in the next generation, emphasizing its portability, affordability, and alignment with Yamauchi's philosophy, suggesting it might overshadow the home consoles. This page showcases a variety of news and product announcements related to gaming. Firstly, there's a feature on new Pokémon merchandise, highlighting 4 items: Pokémon Dining Miniature Dishes, Pokémon Petit Pouch 2 Pouches, Pokémon Depon W Stamps, and Pokémon Tape Club Decorative Tapes. All of these come with Ramune candy. Next, the page mentions this month's Yahoo! Auctions, and discusses back issues of 64Dream magazine and Fire Emblem goods being auctioned online. In the news section, it's announced that KDD and Capcom are launching a high-speed online gaming service, suggesting online play will be available for Dreamcast and possibly other platforms beyond Nintendo 64. Another new product announcement is for the Game Boy Color game Card Hero, a trading card game set to be released on February 21st. It's described as a highly anticipated game where you collect and battle cards, with screenshots showing gameplay. The page then reports on the Next Generation World Hobby Fair event, emphasizing its popularity and large crowds. It mentions Nintendo's booth being particularly crowded, especially for the Kirby 64, the Crystal Shards game, with long queues for playtesting and a giant Kirby balloon as a major attraction. Finally, there's an announcement for the web and mail magazine Rash At, a free email magazine associated with 64Dream that offers high-quality information and is aiming to power up its content, including new game news and event information. Lawson Stores will launch a Game Boy game rewriting service on March 1st. Delayed from its original launch due to the Taiwan earthquake, players can rewrite Game Boy cartridges with new games, costing 800-1,000 yen, plus 2,500 yen for a new GB memory cartridge. Super Mario Land 3 will be available first. A wide selection of games across action, puzzle, simulation, sports, and general categories are offered, detailing prices and memory usage. Notable titles include various Super Mario Land and Kirby games, Metroid 2, Castlevania, Kid Dracula, Yu-Gi-Oh! Duel Monsters, and The Legend of Zelda, Link's Awakening DX, along with several fishing, mahjong, and sports titles. The service introduces a challenge mode and has limited availability, urging early visits. Gameplay shown is from Super Mario Land. This page highlights a few interesting topics. Firstly, there's a Mario Club review of a Game Boy game called Meat Mode, which seems to involve collecting items and transforming into different forms, boasting 90 types of transformations and 509 skills to master, emphasizing customization. Then, there's a cute comic strip section titled Link's Big Adventure, featuring a Chiba-style Link seemingly related to The Legend of Zelda. The page also introduces 2 interesting home pages. One is about playing Zelda music using a real ocarina, tied to The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and promotes a website called Songbird Ocarina for ocarina enthusiasts. The other homepage feature is for an email-based RPG called Dragon Creation Soldier Dragoon, launched on February 7th, described as a multiplayer RPG that's easy to play even without specialized knowledge, accessible via email. Lastly, there's an announcement about the manga version of The Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time by Akira Himekawa, which was serialized in elementary school yearbooks and is now being released as a collected book. It mentions the manga stays true to the game's world and features both child and adult Link. Following up from the previous month, there is also news of new custom RoboPlastic models being released, specifically the Drake Custom and Robin Custom models, priced at 500 yen each. This page is about the Game Boy Color game, Curio Land 3, Unbelievable Organ. The article introduces the game's story, where Wario is sucked into a music box and must escape. The gameplay revolves around collecting 5 different types of music boxes to break a seal and escape. The game features a cute and sexy reaction system, building upon the previous game's action mechanics. It mentions new reactions, like electric shock and Dracula, triggered by enemy attacks, which can be strategically used. Screenshots show gameplay with keys, treasure chests, and collecting gems. It highlights that stages change and evolve, even altering previously cleared areas. The game is described as challenging, requiring players to skillfully use Wario's reactions to clear stages and find all 5 music boxes to escape the music box world. The game is set to be released by Nintendo on March 21st, and the genre is action. The price is listed as 3,800 yen. The previous title mentioned is Wario Land 2. 4 new Game Boy and Game Boy Color titles are coming soon. Capcom's Puzzle Loop, a puzzle game where players match colored stones, will release March 17th. Konami's Battle Fishers, a fishing battle game set in a fishing school, is exclusive to Game Boy Color and launches March 30th. Takara's Super B-Daemon, Fierce Battle Rise. Rising Valkyrie, Hoop. Based on the popular manga, lets players customize and battle B-Daemon robots, releasing March 24th. Finally, DX Monopoly GB, a version of the classic board game with 15 computer opponents, is coming in April from Takara. This page showcases 4 Game Boy Color titles. Firstly, GameCombi 21 is an ETC genre game featuring a collection of 21 casual games, including card games like Speed, Poker, and Blackjack, alongside Mahjong, Golf, and Pachinko. It boasts simple controls for easy enjoyment anytime. Next is Poiton's Dungeon Room 2, an RPG game where you dig through dungeons. You'll need to dig to progress, change jobs through technical change, and befriend monsters. Screenshots highlight dungeon exploration and monster encounters. Then there's Ferret Story Dear My Ferret, an SLG, where you raise a cute ferret as a pet on the Game Boy Color. You care for your ferret, participate in mini-games, and aim to win the ferret show. Finally, Common Sense and Vocabulary Strengthening, Maru Mark. 2. Atama wo Halo Circle, Maru, Kusuru Book, Difficult Question Book, is an ETC genre educational game designed for fun learning. It involves traveling the world and solving problems in various cities to improve common sense and vocabulary, with Common Sense Book and Difficult Question Book versions available. It also features mini-games, like Reversi. This page showcases 4 Game Boy Color games. The top left section is about Magical Chase, a shooting game, described as a famous title returning and originally released on PC Engine in 1991. It mentions beautiful graphics and power-up items. Screenshots show gameplay with the player character shooting enemies and collecting crystals. The top right section introduces Soul Getter After School Adventure RPG, an RPG where the player collects souls to use magic in battles. The game features strategic combat scenes and highlights the use of magic attacks with impressive animations. Screenshots depict battles and a character wearing a pendant that seems to hold the collected souls. The bottom left section is about Pocket Pro Wrestling Perfect Wrestler, a wrestling game where you can play as a pro wrestler even on the train. It mentions a roster of 12 wrestlers and special moves. Screenshots feature wrestler selection screens and in-game wrestling action. Finally, the bottom right section presents Saru Puncher, a boxing RPG starring a monkey. It humorously suggests that training a monkey boxer is enjoyable, and you must teach it moves. Screenshots show training scenes, fights, and dialogue with characters. Dicarius. It emphasizes raising your monkey boxer to become a Saru puncher. This page is a preview of Daikatana for the Nintendo 64. It highlights the game as a cutting-edge 3D shooting title from John Romero, the creator of Doom and Quake, emphasizing its time-traveling storyline across 4 eras to fix history distorted by evil. The game features adventure elements beyond just shooting. The protagonist, Hiro Miyamoto, uses the legendary sword Daikatana, which evolves and adapts to different time periods. The preview details 4 stages. AD 2455 Kyoto, where Japan is controlled by Mishima Kage, BC 1200 Greece, where Hiro must confront Minos, AD 560 Norway, plagued by a deadly plague, and AD 2030 San Francisco as the final destination to defeat Mishima. Screenshots show gameplay in different time periods and environments. The game is described as a 3D shooting title for 12 players, priced at 6,980 yen, and requiring 128 megabytes of memory. This page is a preview of the Nintendo 64 game Bass Rush, a fishing sports game for 1 player. Released in 2000 by Visco and priced at 7,800 yen, it supports the Rumble Pack and Controller Pack. The article highlights the game's focus on realistic bass fishing, emphasizing the real thing in various aspects. It showcases screenshots of gameplay, featuring lake and river fishing locations, and lure selection. The goal of the game is to catch big bass and other fish, and the article mentions there are over 9 types of fish available. The page details the gameplay, such as casting lures, reeling in fish, and reacting to fish movements with the Rumble Pack. It notes there are 6 real-world lakes and rivers as fishing locations, and over 102 types of lures, including EcoGear brand lures, which are authentically recreated in the game and available from fishing stores. There's also a section explaining EcoGear, which are worm lures from the manufacturer Marukyu, and that as part of a campaign, they are giving away EcoGear lure sets. The page mentions a Big Bass Festival event held in Tokyo from January 28th to 30th at the International Fishing Tackle Exhibition, where Bass Rush logo goods were distributed. This page showcases the Nintendo 64 game Gauntlet Legends. It highlights the game's action RPG genre and emphasizes 4-player cooperative gameplay, urging players to unite their power to defeat the Dark Demon King. The page promotes using memory expansion for 4-player simultaneous play, noting it as a key aspect of the Gauntlet Legend experience. It details turbo attacks as essential special moves, and explains how to use items effectively in the game. Screenshots depict gameplay with characters battling enemies and using special attacks like the 3-way shot and magic potion, emphasizing the visual style and action-packed nature of Gauntlet Legends. This page previews Top Gear Hyperbike for the Nintendo 64. It's promoting the upcoming release and focusing on the game's trick system. The page highlights different trick categories based on difficulty: beginner, intermediate, and advanced. For beginners, there are tricks like layout and no-hander. Intermediate tricks include cliffhanger and side saddle. Advanced tricks shown are spread eagle, seat grab, and kahuna. The game is listed as a racing genre title, published by Kemco, and was set to be released on March 17th. It supports 12 players and is compatible with controller packs and memory expansion packs. The price was listed at 6,980 yen, estimated. This page is all about the 64DD RAN Net communication service, which is finally starting up and making internet connectivity a reality for N64 owners. The RAN Net disc is expected to be distributed at the end of February, meaning users can soon enjoy network services like sending and receiving emails and exploring various homepages on the internet. One section, 64DD Net to Go, is focused on internet capabilities with the RAN Net disc. Another section called 64DD Illustration Hall is starting to showcase illustrations from users. The submission rate is good, and the illustrations received will be presented in the magazine. Anticipated Derby Paradise Online talks about the network service for horse racing fans called Derby Paradise Online. This service allows users to enjoy online horse races, predict weekly races from daily sports, and try to guess who is the prediction king. The game uses the latest horse racing data and real names of jockeys and horses. The screenshots show race results and odds information for a horse racing game. Finally, Picture Postcard Service illustrations are decided, reveals illustrations chosen for the Picture Postcard Service. One illustration is by Mr. Ainuma of Giant Doshin, One Fame, and another is by Mimiz Ayakawa. By using this service, you can send postcards with your chosen illustration, address, and message, and each card costs 150 yen. The service is designed to be user-friendly, The selected illustrations include a cartoony giant Doshin and another with a tropical theme, aiming for a pop and bright feel. The 64DD question box answers inquiries from RandNet DD Public Relations. A keyboard, designed for easy text input using the 3D stick and AC buttons, is slated for release in April, priced around 4,600 yen. Mario Artist Dojo, featuring Paint Studio, Polygon Studio, and Talent Studio, is a RandNet Disc creative suite with characters like Sagi Frill and Cleo introducing features. A junior high school student Koshien event and user submissions are planned. The DD Unified Test is a weekly quiz with elementary-level questions for children. Finally, Giant's Doshin fan pages launch in February with monthly and speed news publications. This page features a special interview with Tatsuhiko Asano about the music and sound effects in Kyojin no Doshin 1, which was released only in Japan. Asano discusses how the game's tropical and melancholic atmosphere was a key inspiration for the music, aiming to create sounds that evoke a sense of vastness and nature. He mentions using various methods to create sound effects, like recording water sounds in his bathtub and using software on his computer. He also mentions creating the music before seeing the game screens, and then adjusting it to fit the visuals later. Asano also reveals that the initial music was inspired by a request to create something similar to the music of Godzilla composer Akira Ifukube. The page includes screenshots showing the giant Doshin in a tropical environment with yellow people. There is also a promotion for a CD with Asano's autograph and original soundtrack of Doshin the Giant, given as a present to 3 people, and a fan book for Doshin the Giant being sold. The 64DD software catalog highlights upcoming games for the system, with network services launching. SimCity 64 and Talent Studio are launching. Idayusuke's Mahjong School offers enhanced value over its cartridge counterpart. Soundmaker, tentative, by a Mario Artist developer is also anticipated. Mario Artist, Polygon Studio, allows for 3D model creation. Wall Street, tentative, is a stock trading simulation. The FZEROX expansion kit, tentative, will allow users to create courses. Other titles include DD Sequencer, tentative, a music creation tool, and Doshin, the Giant Liberation Front. Big Gathering of Small Fry, tentative, the second game in the Doshin series. Japan Pro Golf Tour 64 offers realistic golf gameplay. DTDD version, tentative, enhances a Game Boy card game. Dzemon DD, tentative, is a 3D shooting game creator, and Modern Great Strategy Ultimate War is a war simulation. This fan art showcase, Illustrations Special Hall, features a variety of illustrations. Key highlights include multiple Legend of Zelda pieces. Link on Epona by Ibisumaru, Naburu by Yume no Tasuke, and a young Link with a fairy by Harusame Mana. Pokemon is represented with an image of the gold/silver protagonist, and Chikorita by Sugito Hiroyuki, and Ash with Pikachu Gold and other Pokemon by Rai Ichiyu. Other featured art includes a Christmas-themed Kirby by Kurosawa Kanaru, a dragon riding character with Mario Artist Paint Studio 3D World Elements by Fujiwara Motojin, Rebecca Chambers from Resident Evil 0 by Manakane Mune, a piece titled For Happiness by Ueda Miyuki, and Leafa from Fire Emblem. Thracia 776 by Ikeiko. Many artists are from various prefectures in Japan. The Malio Proving Ground fan art page showcases illustrations based on the theme of anger, with Spring announced as the next theme. The page features diverse art from various games, including Pokemon, Fire Emblem, and Mario Party 2, depicting characters expressing anger through scenarios like losing, competitive situations, and heated reactions. Submissions range from characters yelling to distressed Pokemon and even an angry piece of bread. Fan letters with drawings of Mario and Link are included. A separate section displays illustrations by children aged 10 and under, featuring Pokemon evolutions and a monster-like Link, with artist information provided. This page showcases a collection of fan art submissions titled Illustration High-Rise Building. There are numerous drawings featuring various characters and game themes. One artwork depicts characters that appear to be from Fire Emblem. Another shows a character resembling Link from Zelda games with a monster. There's also a drawing that looks like Kirby and another of a fairy character. Further down, an artwork shows characters resembling those from the Pokemon series. Another depicts a character in a pink dress holding a book, possibly Princess Peach from the Mario games. There is also an image featuring what seems to be a Digimon character, and a drawing of a bird-like creature labeled Niteo, which may be a monster from a game. The page also includes comments from the artists and their locations, such as Shiga Prefecture / White Snow Flower San, and Tokyo / Vietnam Fixed Food Information Assistance San. One comment mentions Ogre Battle and Fairy series, while another refers to Mother 2 and Moonside Town. Another comment is about Custom Robo. Overall, the page is a vibrant display of fan creativity, with many of the illustrations inspired by popular games of the era, including some that appear to be related to Nintendo 64 titles and characters. The Mario Grandstand section features 4 fan-made comic strips. The first, by Mr. Iwanuma, stars Link. The second, by Ms. Okunai Aman, centers on a misinterpretable Chikorita-like creature. Mr. Marumaru's comic, Chicha, uses a pun with chocolate. Finally, Mr. Saramento Takashi depicts Link and Navi in a playful, slightly scary style. Following the comics, Kiteru Katachi lists contributors by rank, such as recruit levels. This month's rank special advancement lists names and categories referencing military-style ranks. An illustration recruitment section calls for submissions of character illustrations, comics, and artwork for a 4-panel manga format, offering prizes and submission instructions, including a deadline and address for the 64Dream editorial department. This page is showcasing Dream Hall of Fame The Dream Technique and focuses on Resident Evil 2 and Donkey Kong 64. The main highlight is costume changes in Resident Evil 2 for Leon and Claire. The article details how to unlock these costumes by first going to the police station without using any items, and then defeating a zombie Brad who appears on the stairs at the front entrance. Upon defeating Brad and examining his body, you obtain a special key. This key can be used in the locker room on the first floor west side of the police station to change costumes. For Leon, there are 2 costume types mentioned, one being a cool costume and the other a STARS uniform. Wearing the STARS uniform increases the rate of fire with the handgun. Claire's costume is purple, and while it is stated that handguns with level 6 or higher customization cannot be equipped, it increases the rate of fire. The page features screenshots of gameplay and the costume changes, and is officially from Capcom. This page is about hidden weapons in Biohazard 2, known as Resident Evil 2 internationally, and 201 golden bananas in Donkey Kong 64. For Resident Evil 2, it details how to unlock hidden weapons by meeting certain conditions. It mentions the machine gun, obtainable by clearing the game on S or A rank in backplay without using the emergency spray. The Gatling gun is obtained by clearing the game on S or A rank without saving. The rocket launcher is unlocked by clearing the front and back game in under 2 hours 30 minutes on S or A rank. These hidden weapons are described as powerful and game-changing, making even tough enemies easy to defeat. The Donkey Kong 64 section focuses on getting the elusive 201st golden banana. It mentions that upon defeating a bodyguard, players get a blueprint which needs to be given to Snide at his place to receive a golden banana. Collecting all these blueprints and giving them to Snide is crucial. The page also talks about banana fairies and mystery mode. Taking pictures of banana fairies in the game unlocks the mystery mode. The contents of the mystery mode include DK Theater, DK Bonus, boss characters, Crucia, and cheats. It states that rescuing 20 fairies leads to the 201st golden banana and unlocks Long John's ending. This guide offers tips and secrets for N64 games, primarily Resident Evil 2 and Custom Robo. For Resident Evil 2, it reveals how to find the hidden Film D file, obtained by repeatedly investigating Chief Wesker's desk, which develops into a picture of Rebecca Chambers. It also explains how to unlock Random Mode, which shuffles item and enemy placements after clearing any scenario. Additionally, the guide points out a subtle Easter egg. The blue card key contains the letters JoJo, referencing JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. Regarding Custom Robo, the guide details combat techniques, emphasizing the use of different attack patterns in the air and on the ground, and recommends weapons like the Rayforce gun and V-Laser. It highlights the use of the A and R buttons while jumping for feint attacks. This page showcases gameplay techniques, or Dori Teku, for several N64 titles. For Custom Robo, there are 2 tips. one for dealing over 200 damage with the Hornet gun by getting up close to an opponent, and another for knocking opponents out of the Coliseum arena, referred to as a violence killer technique. Donkey Kong 64 features a discovery of a dolphin picture in Donkey's house on DK Island, sparking speculation about dolphins in future games. PD Ultraman Battle Collection 64 has a technique where rapidly pressing the C button when encountering an enemy will quickly fill the stamina gauge, enabling continuous attacks. Mario Artist Paint Studio is featured with instructions on how to resize stamps freely using the controller or mouse. Finally, it mentions that inserting the Mario Artist Paint Studio disc into the 64DD will reveal a special Mario's performance. The page also contains an advert encouraging readers to submit their own game techniques to the magazine for a chance to win prizes. This article previews 9 upcoming N64 games across various genres. RPG highlights include Mother 3, Pig King's Last Stand, Super Mario RPG 2, Action RPG, and Mystery Dungeon, Shiren the Wanderer 2 Ogre Attack, Shiren Castle. Action games featured are Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, with minigames, Conker's Quest, no new info, and The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, a new game using similar systems to Ocarina of Time. Gauntlet Legends, 4-player action RPG, represents the action-adventure genre, alongside Chunbara Fighter, Swords Fighting, limited new info. Lastly, Biohazard Zero, or Resident Evil Zero, is showcased as an N64 exclusive adventure game. This page showcases upcoming Nintendo 64 software. Titles include fishing games like Super Black Bass 64, Itoi Shigesato's Bass Fishing No. 1 Definitive Edition, and Bass Rush, with release dates spanning March to summer 2000, some utilizing specialized controllers. Other games featured are 64 Wars, a simulation war game, Flight Simulator, and Perfect Dark, both with uncertain release dates, Panel de Pon 64, a puzzle game, Nintama Rantaru 64 Game Gallery, another puzzle game, and Daikatana, a 3D shooter. Additionally, Viewpoint 2064, a shooting game, and sports games Ultra Baseball Jitsumeiban 64 and Jikyu Powerful Pro Yakyu 2000 are mentioned. Release dates vary, with some yet to be determined and others scheduled for spring 2000. This article previews several upcoming Nintendo 64 games featured in 64Dream magazine. Yidyusuke's Mahjong School offers realistic mahjong matches against a professional player. Excitebike 64 promises course design and sharing. Slid's Ratty Cats, a racing game, remains unreleased despite a sample ROM. Top Gear Hyperbike is a monster bike racer supporting memory expansion and course editing, releasing March 17, 2000. Wipeout 64 offers intense speed and 4-player battles. Rev Limit is still in development. Nushitsuri 64, Let's Ride the Sea Breeze, is a fishing game with worldwide locations, set for May 26, 2000. Animal Leader is a mysterious title. The page also promotes special edition telephone cards, including Majora's Mask, and cards featuring various Nintendo characters, available due to high demand. This page is an advertisement for a Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards mousepad. It's a present campaign for all applicants to the 64Dream magazine to commemorate the release of the N64 game Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, which was scheduled for release in March. The mousepad is described as a usable size of approximately 20 centimeters. The page provides instructions on how to apply for the mousepad, including sending in a postcard with a stamp by March 31st. It also mentions that multiple applications are possible and includes details about the postage costs required depending on the number of mousepads requested. This page is a giveaway promotion from 64Dream magazine, offering various prizes to readers. The top prizes include a red clear Nintendo 64 controller for one winner, and a midnight blue Nintendo 64 console for another winner. 2 lucky people can win a limited edition custom Robo-Plastic model kit, a Hobby Fair exclusive. 1 person can win a Game Boy Color. 3 people can win the soundtrack CD for the Japan-only game Giant of Dogen 1. Another 3 winners will receive a signed copy of the book Game Time Problem by Hirinji Kazuto. 30 people can win a Metamode CD related to the Game Boy Color exclusive game Metamode. 10 people will win a non-sale comic of Harvest Moon. 5 people can win a Jigaimokun character calendar. 5 people will receive a special worm lure from the N64 fishing game, Bass Rush. Lastly, 15 winners will get Mizugi no Yu medicinal bath salts, featuring a character from the game of the same name. This page is a reader survey for the magazine, prompting readers to give feedback on the current issue's cover and article content. Readers are asked to select their favorite and least favorite articles from a listed table, and to express their desired page count for the Dream Drunker manga. The survey also inquires about the preferred color of the N64 console, and invites readers to name their favorite game characters across all platforms. 2 tables present a wide array of N64 games, including titles like Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, The Legend of Zelda, Majora's Mask, Paper Mario, referred to as Super Mario RPG 2, Pokemon Gold and Silver, Resident Evil 2, Biohazard 2, Donkey Kong 64, Gauntlet Legends, and Top Gear Hyperbike. Other notable games listed are Perfect Dark, Resident Evil 0, Biohazard 0, Wipeout 64, Excitebike 64, Super Smash Bros., and the Japan-only 64DD expansion F-Zero X expansion kit. Mario Artist, Polygon Studio, a title for the 64DD, is also included. Additionally, the page announces the winners of a previous giveaway, detailing the prizes won, such as N64 consoles in various colors, and Donkey Kong 64 posters, alongside the names and locations of the winners within Japan. A short text segment features commentary from a character called Anketo. The 5th issue of the 64Dream, releasing March 21st for 490 yen, previews upcoming spring 2000 game coverage including Kirby 64, The Crystal Shards, Power Pro, and Zelda. The issue features GB software catalogs, posters, and a Kirby mousepad. The editor's voice section includes staff comments on game guides, childhood toys, the stress of deadlines, playing Code Veronica, Panzer Dragoon, and Pokemon Card Neo, and the challenges of Banjo-Tooie and enjoyment of sake with Ojamaho Doremi snacks. The page also includes a Kirby and Mario comic, staff list, and contact information. It's the April issue, published on February 21, 2000, by Mainichi Communications. This page is an advertisement for the Game Boy Color game, Saru Boxing, a monkey boxing simulation game from Taito. The player takes on the role of a salt trainer to train a monkey and create the strongest Saru puncher. The page uses manga panels to illustrate the game's story, which seems to involve a monkey in a school uniform and boxing. Screenshots show training sequences and boxing matches, and mention features like communication mode to battle friends. The advertisement emphasizes training and battling to become the best. The game was released on March 24th and priced at 3,980 yen. This page is an advertisement for the Game Boy Color game, Trade and Battle Card Hero. It highlights the fun of collecting cards to create the strongest deck, trading with friends for cards you don't have, and battling others. The game is aimed at everyone from beginners to advanced players, and is advertised as being fun for both adults and children. It mentions the release date is February 21st, and the price is 3,800 yen. The game is compatible with both Game Boy and Game Boy Color systems.